On January 1st, 2024, a 7.6 magnitude undersea earthquake struck off the Noto Peninsula in Ishikawa Prefecture, Japan. The tremor and accompanying tsunami caused extensive damage to the Noto Peninsula, particularly in the cities of Wajima, Suzu, and Anamizu. Ishikawa Prefecture reported 236 dead and 22 missing, while nearly 1,300 people were injured in several other prefectures, making it the deadliest earthquake in Japan since the Kumamoto earthquake in 2016. With almost a month having passed since the event, it is time to take stock of what has taken place off Japan's shores. As you know, we want to inform you first of all responsibly to understand the process of the whole event, so we always bring you the video with a certain time lag to have the most accurate information for you. In this event, we can all see perfectly well how, as a result of similar earthquakes, the Japanese islands are constantly being reshaped and moved on the tectonic plates on which Japan is located. So please sit back and let's watch the new video on the Top Topics channel. The Noto Peninsula lies on the southeastern edge of the Sea of Japan, formed by the subduction of the Pacific Plate beneath the Eurasian Plate along the Japan Trench. Currently, Japan is located on the convergent boundary between the Pacific Ocean, the Philippine Sea, the Okhotsk Plate, and the Amori Plate. Along the eastern and southeastern coasts of the island arc, the Pacific and Philippine Sea plates are subducted in the Japan Trench and the Nankai Trough. This is thought to be an incipient subduction zone consisting of east-dipping thrust faults. Rifting and subsequent inversion have created a series of faults along the coast that can potentially move and cause earthquakes in the 6.8, 7.9 range, in many cases with tsunamis. Large earthquakes occur here on a fairly regular basis, and tsunamis along this boundary occurred in 1833, 1940, 1964, 1983, and 1993. The largest and most destructive tsunami in the Sea of Japan occurred in 1741 and was attributed to the eruption of the Oshima volcano. The tsunami was 20 m high at the time and wreaked considerable havoc on the west coast of Japan. The Japanese Meteorological Agency recorded a magnitude of 7.6, making it the largest earthquake to hit Ishikawa since at least 1885 and the largest to hit mainland Japan since the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. The cautionary fact is that since there was no significant landslide on the section between the peninsula and Sato Island, seismologist Kenji Satake said that there is still the potential for another earthquake and tsunami of 7.0 on the Richter scale or greater. Approximately 85 kilometers, 50 miles of coastline encompassing Suzu, Wajima, and Shika has been uplifted, and the coastline has shifted up to 660 feet. Minazuki Bay in Wajima was raised by 13 feet, while at the fishing port of Nagahashimachi, the tide gauge was unusable because the seabed was exposed. Japan's Geospatial Information Office said parts of the land had shifted to the west, with the maximum shift observed in Wajima due to crustal deformation. The coastline in Kawara County has shifted 175 meters into the sea due to coastal uplift, expanding the land by a total of 2.4 square kilometers. A sea movement detected on the coast of Monzenmachi and Kuroshima-machi districts in Wajima, as well as a land extension of 4.4 square kilometers on the Noto Peninsula. Extensive landslides were detected in the mountainous area of the peninsula. The number of landslides was estimated at approximately 1,000. In Wajima, a landslide into a dam caused water to overflow into the fields. Large parts of Japan's west coast, from Hokkaido to Nagasaki prefectures, were immediately put on tsunami alert following the earthquake, with evacuation orders issued in Ishikawa, Niigata, Toyama, and Yamagata prefectures. Public broadcaster NHK said that tsunami waves of 5 meters could be expected. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said that dangerous tsunami waves were possible within 300 kilometers of the epicenter. Evacuation orders have been issued for 62,000 people. A team of researchers from the International Research Institute for Disaster Science at Tohoku University said the first waves reached the Noto Peninsula within 1 minute of the quake. Fumihiko Imamura, a member of the research team, said it could have been caused by the proximity of the fault to the coast, or also a possible underwater landslide in Toyama Bay, which seems like the more likely option. Interestingly, long-term observations of tsunamis in the Sea of Japan have shown that waves here arrive faster than tsunamis along Japan's Pacific coast. The waves were quite high and destructive. In Suzu, the highest waves exceeded 15 feet in height. In the town of Misaka, destroying houses and damaging the seawall. In the Kagami area of Shika, even a tsunami of 5.1 meters was recorded. The tide gauge at the Shika nuclear power plant recorded a 3 meters rise in tide level between 17:45 and 18 o'clock. The remaining parts of the west coast were hit by waves of a maximum height of 1 meter. Waves as high as 24 inches were reported in Hokkaido. The tsunami reached its highest height of 21.6 feet at a public park 2,000 feet from the mouth of the Seki River. The tsunami swept away people at the entrance to the building and in the park. The locally high waves can be attributed, as always, to the varying bathymetry of the seafloor, which concentrates tsunamis at a particular location, according to the nature of the seafloor. Sediment collection inland indicates that the tsunami reached at least 5.5 kilometers upstream of the mouth of the river. In Suzu, houses were washed from their foundations further inland. The earthquake and tsunami damaged or destroyed 90% of all buildings in the city. The wave capsized many fishing vessels and carried some ashore. Collapsed buildings and overturned cars were observed from a news helicopter flyover of the city. In Shika, a series of waves that were up to 14 feet high arrived at the harbor, damaging the city's fishing harbor and its facilities. In the Shiramaru area of Noto, Ishikawa Province, houses were washed away and a fire started. On Wajima Island, the tsunami flooded houses and knocked out essential services. 3 people were stranded on the island before being rescued 2 weeks later. A 16-feet surge was established on the island. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism assessed that the tsunami inundated up to 190 hectares, 470 acres, of land and damaged breakwaters on at least 7 beaches. There have been at least 236 deaths in Ishikawa Prefecture. More than 80% of the deaths were caused by collapsed houses. At least 1,178 people were seriously injured, and 22 people are still missing. The Japanese government estimated the total damage at 2.6 trillion yen. Most of the damage is attributed to damaged houses, roads, ports, and other infrastructure. 780 people in 30 districts in remote villages were isolated due to damaged roads and landslides, and evacuations required the use of helicopters. Many of the collapsed houses in Wajima were traditional wooden structures that were built before current building codes were introduced in 1981. At least 43,766 buildings in Ishikawa were damaged or destroyed. The fire in the city occurred at around 5 p.m., and firefighters were unable to extinguish the flames due to damaged roads. The fire engulfed an estimated 200 buildings, including the unique Asaichi Market. An area of up to 48,000 square meters, 520,000 square feet, was affected by the fire. At the Kashiwazaki Kariwa nuclear power plant in Niigata Prefecture, the force of the earthquake caused water to spill from the fuel pools of 2 reactors. The aftermath of the earthquake had a major humanitarian impact in the worst affected regions, as well as an impact on the national economy. Preliminary findings by Nomura Securities, a Japanese financial services company, suggest that the temporary stagnation of economic activity will depress nominal GDP by between 23 and 50 billion yen. Japan has experienced its worst earthquake since the Tohoku event in 2011. And the question is whether this is a harbinger of a worse event to come, Thank you for watching the video. We'd love you to subscribe to the channel, and we'll look forward to the next video.